following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Chronicles of Hope is essential reading for seekers of inspiration and spiritual empowerment. This series offers nourishment for those on a path of increased awareness at this challenging time. Inspired by higher sources of wisdom, Chronicles of Hope delivers messages to lift your spirit with a roadmap of hope and guidelines for living a life of expanded consciousness. The guides offer powerful insight for mental, emotional, and spiritual growth at this critical tipping point for humanity. The message is clear. We must change. We have the power to raise our vibrational energy individually and collectively before it's too late. I am Lois Herman, author of the best-selling Chronicles of Hope series and host of the Inspiring Hope radio show at WSMN.live or 95.3 FM. You can find me at loisherman.com or chroniclesofhope.net.
Welcome to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman, a leading expert in professional coaching, clinical hypnosis, and energy clearing. Lois is an award-winning author of Chronicles of Hope. She has decades of experience in advanced hypnosis techniques, has conducted highly effective success coaching programs that have helped clients discover ways to achieve success, empower themselves, their families, as well as holistic practitioners to expand their practices. Get ready to be empowered with your host, Lois Herman.
And good glorious day. I'm shifting away from the morning thing because that could make you sad. So good glorious day, everyone, and welcome to Inspiring Hope. I am your host, Lois Herman, and I'm here to inspire you with positive messages and celebrate amazing people in our world who are making a difference. When we all focus our thoughts and energies on truth, honesty, and integrity, as the God Ray says, we create powerful shifts that cause us to be more positive and peaceful. As we lift our individual energy, we empower everyone around us. If we each do just whatever we can to make small shifts in awareness, we create ripples of hope. Join us as catalysts for positive change for our families, our communities, and our world at large. And I hope you're inspired by today's show, and it's going to be a fun one, guys. Where is your joy? There's so much concern in our world today, yet we must keep our vibe high to bring hope to humanity and free the Lightworkers to shine their light brightly. When we come together with other like-minded individuals, we collectively create positive shifts and bring back the magic of life. Team Hope enjoys sharing joy and hope and positive energy to uplift others with both individual and global effects. In the process, we've encountered many strange and unusual situations that have caused us to dig deeper, ask more questions, and be ever aware of the great unseen world around us. We're in an amazing time of transition, shifting from many years of controlling darkness that has ruled our world in secret to exposing the hard and painful truth. Many have come to see this as a time when we are making ready for the birth of a new sense of freedom, honesty, integrity, and respect for one another and our world. Team Hope has seen so many challenges and faced so many blocks over the years, yet have persevered through the darkness by embracing the light. I am honored, delighted, and blessed to have three of our angel team with us today to share their ideas of what we've experienced as a team in our efforts to bring the message of hope to humanity, coupled with the realization of how our mission has evolved over the years as we serve to empower the Lightworkers. Christine Peck, Ann Bordeleau, and Brian Hill are here with us in the studio to help bring hope to humanity, along with our favorite phrase, Yakamtsu, you can't make this shit up, okay? so we're going to start with an uplifting song.
Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
Everything is beautiful in its own way. Like a starry summer night or a snow-covered winter's day. And everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way.
Yay.
None so blind.
We're all rocking out with the song. So,
Showing our age. Definitely.
and that's a good thing, isn't it? Hey, Brian, we've got Ann and Christine in the studio. Brian, are you there on the phone call?
Yes, I'm here. Good glorious day, Mace. How are you? I don't know why. I don't know why I have to have a very bad Australian accent anytime I say good glorious day. Yeah, I'm doing great. Good to be here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Welcome, of course, to our team. And what is it that you told us when we were talking the other day? The only reason you're going to join is because you know with all of us women, you won't have to say too much.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll see how that works out.
Well, we're going to have fun. I was going to set sacred space, but Ann suggested that we set it once we get on the show because we always start with sacred space. So who wants to set sacred space today?
Not me.
All right. Ann, do you want to?
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so we're going to start by calling in Archangel Michael and asking him to bring in 4 pillars of light that go all the way up to Father Sky, all the way down to Mother Earth. That represents north, south, east, and west. And then bringing also in another 4 pillars in between those to create an octagon. Then asking him to bring in his legions of light to connect those pillars. Bringing in a platform of crystalline light to seal the space below, and a dome of crystalline light to seal the space above. And then around that space, a reflective shield that will bring in and amplify the positive and anything for our highest and best good. And then deflect off and transmute anything that's negative or maybe nefarious that's trying to get us, transmute it into love and send it back to the sender. And then asking Saint Germain to bring in his violet flame to engulf the entire space, bringing in a little wisp inside as well. Then having Archangel Raphael come in and also engulf the space with his green healing light. Also bringing some inside as well. And then also asking Archangel Michael to bring in a high-frequency hum to help us stay undetected and under the radar. And then also now creating or asking for a layer of shungite to help block any EMFs. And then 1,000,000 bubbles of love surrounding that entire space that goes out to a 5-mile radius.
I totally love how everybody has their own flavor. It's perfect, and we need to just adopt. You know, we're sharing from our hearts, and yet we each need to adapt it to what fits us, and we're always learning.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, Anne.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great job. Yeah, I feel very protected right now.
And well, how many mile radius is that? Because you're all the way over in Missouri, right?
What's that, about 1,100 miles?
All right. Big time bubble radius. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. I forgot to mention to the viewers, the listeners, that you are listening to Inspiring Hope with Lois Herman. I have to put in that little disclaimer here at WSMN.live or 95.3 FM. If you enjoy our content and all of our wonderful energy, please like, share, and subscribe to our Lois Herman Associates YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter at loisherman.com. You can join us at our community at chroniclesofhope.net. All right, now I can get the advertisement out of the way. So hey, what do you guys want to talk about? We've got so much that we talk about. All right. So where do we start? Let's start with Constitution Week.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a member of the DAR, Daughters of American Revolution, and one of the things that impresses me most about that organization is that they're about patriotism, education, and preservation. And yesterday, I was dressed up kind of like Dolly Madison in my costume, and we were celebrating. This is Constitution Week. The Constitution was actually signed on September 17th. So between September the 17th and 23rd is Constitution Week. And one of the things that I love about the DAR is the patriotism, where, you know, how many of you how long has it been since you've said the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we always say the Pledge of Allegiance, but there's this other, have you ever heard of the Americans' Creed?
No.
Brian, have you heard?
No,
Well,
no,
and they say this every time as well. And I'd like to, we probably remember the Pledge of Allegiance, but this one I'd like to read to you guys because it really touches my heart. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
wow.
powerful. That's
That
great.
is
Yeah.
very powerful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Where do we get, how did that get lost?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Has that been around since the Revolutionary War times, or is it more
Yes.
recent?
Yeah,
Wow.
no, this is called the Americans' Creed.
Wow.
I'd have to research to tell you for sure, Brian, where it comes from, but we always say it right after the Pledge of Allegiance. It's kind of tied in with the Pledge of Allegiance. And the first time I heard it, I was so moved. And then again, every time we say the American's Creed.
Wow.
Never had heard it before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Yes.
And isn't that what we're standing for out here?
Yes.
With the truthers.
Yes.
It's almost like that's the truthers' creed.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
It could be. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I wanted just to kind of lead with that and have everybody recognize that we have the Constitution was written so many years ago, and there was a lot of thought put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And if those guys that wrote it and signed their names to it, I think of the 42 people that worked on it, only 39 signed. Some of them abstained. But if they were around today, I think they'd be a little miffed at what's happened to their Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
But they put a lot of safeguards in there against the stuff that people are trying to pull today.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. Right. And then consider how they would feel if they realized what happened in 1871 with their Constitution. Wow, that would be something.
So tell us what happened in 1871.
Well, the Act of 1871, as I understand it, was signed after the Civil War. We were having some financial problems, and so in 1871, as you guys probably know as well as your listeners do as well, that they signed this Constitution incorporating the country, and they financed it through the Bank of London. And so we've kind of been in kind of a property of London, of England, since that time. So there's really two constitutions in effect, really. And I don't think they abolished the original one. They just have two constitutions in effect, to my understanding.
Right.
Yeah. So it's an interesting dynamic. Yeah.
And how many people have known about this? I have only recently, over the past 2 years, since I turned off the TV and started really getting educated.
Same
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
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 Yeah, but then again, how much stuff has been hidden from us over all of this time frame and even beyond? So it's interesting what's going on in the world right now.
Yeah. It's all coming to light. That's the whole thing with 2020 and COVID is, yes, there was a shakeup, but how many of us have gotten clearer vision as a result of 2020?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and Brian, you had mentioned something about CC. We're all members of Connecting Consciousness, which is a spiritual group that is worldwide. And you had mentioned that there was a theme at your most recent meeting, and I'm having one today. You had one yesterday or last week? Yeah,
Last week, yeah.
Last week, yeah.
So how, again, they're very it's global patriotic. You know, it's
Right.
about because Simon Parks is from the UK, but he recognizes a lot of this disruption or deception that's been played out on a world stage. And so we're all very aware on the spiritual realm, or we're becoming even more and more aware of what we need to do in the spiritual to affect changes in the physical and in our government.
Yeah, and also the theme that most of the people were talking about in the CC meeting that we had last week was how we are all those of us who know or have a better understanding of what we have been lied about and what's really been going on, are going to be there to support those when all the truth is really revealed. Because there are going to be so many people who have just such cognitive dissonance at, oh my gosh, this cannot really be the case. So that was the theme that our meeting held, is how to be there, how to be supportive and helping for a lot of these people because it's going to be like a fire hose that opens up and they're going to be blasted with this. Whereas most of us, at least for my particular case, I was learning things at a pace that I could handle, and I would decide to go which rabbit hole I was going to go down when.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I was pacing myself, and I think that time has stopped. People are just going to be hearing things. Yeah.
Yeah, and that goes along with the red pilling, right? So we learn the information for ourselves. We take some time to digest it, and then we try and disseminate it gently to those around us.
And speaking of the red pilling, I think a lot of people don't really understand. Well, I don't know about a lot. I think there are some people that don't understand where the term the red pilling came from. And that's from the movie The Matrix, where the character in the movie was given a choice of whether to continue to live in a state of illusion and not truth, but living within the Matrix. He would take the blue pill. But if he really wanted to know what the truth was, he would take a red pill. So we have, all of us, been living in a matrix. And the matrix is it's falling apart. So.
And many of us have chosen to take the red pill.
Right.
And it's not been an easy ride.
No.
When you are open to learn the illusion crumbles. And we go through a period of shock, grief, mourning, realization, and then empowerment. I mean, there's a whole cycle of growth that happens as we start to realize how we've been lied to by our government, by many of our churches, by the educational system, by our entertainment industry.
Right.
And so, Brian, I'd like you to jump in here because we tend to
Well, no, I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh no, we want your opinion. No more listening.
In my connective consciousness meeting here this last week, they were talking about what you guys mentioned, and in addition to that, they wanted to get our idea on how we would respond to someone who might be questioning their awakening, and how would you approach that with somebody to keep them from, squawking and going off the deep end, that kind of thing. So just a little bit of a different approach other than what you guys mentioned, but it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
One of the things that Louis Herms talks about on the Truth Tour, and I've been honored and privileged to be a part of that amazing group of people who are risking everything to be out speaking their truth in different venues. But one of the things that he talks about is instead of vomiting truth on people, just blah, you ask questions. For instance, with the whole 9/11, ask, how do you reconcile that there were 3 buildings that went down, but there were only 2 planes?
Right.
Yeah, so just ask simple questions to get them to think instead of stating something as a fact.
Right.
And that's what have we heard from our guides all along?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep asking. And Archangel Samuel said, if you tell them something that will stop them from learning, you must stimulate thought. You must get them to start asking questions, planting seeds of curiosity,
Right.
and getting them to explore for themselves instead of trying to come across as the authority, because none of us are. We're all learning.
Well, and then
Right.
also by asking questions, it takes away this is turning into a political conversation, because
Right.
it's not. It's way more
Right.
than politics. This affects every area of our life, and so being able to ask questions really helps to get people engaged and to really start thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the more questions we ask, the more levels we uncover.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Right. You don't want to ask the wrong questions.
I've asked plenty of wrong questions.
Oh, I have too. Yeah.
But those sometimes get to be the most interesting. Be prepared for what you're going to find out.
Right.
I want to make sure to include, I was on a call with a team and I want to share this with the audience. I'm a host, and I'm not I just have offered to open my space to host meetings for the Connecting Consciousness group. And we had a private meeting the other day in order to share this information publicly. We were advised to share with all members and non-members that something is about to shake out. I mean, if you've even heard that, I think it's the Prime Minister of Germany was saying that something big is going to happen on the 23rd of September, that it will be one of those moments where you will remember where you were, kind of like 9/11.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fear stuff going on out there. Well, what we were told is they're the white hats. The white hats are the good guys. They call them black hats and white hats. So, think of, just cowboys and crooks.
And bad guys.
Yeah, exactly. Bad guys and good guys. So the good guy, we're going to call them the good guys, are going to interrupt the bad guys' plans. But in order to disrupt the fear porn, our bank accounts may be shut down for a period of 2 days to 2 weeks. And what they're saying is have money on hand, cash on hand, have your gas tank, filled up, have food, water, pet supplies, have everything that you need to. And most of us that live in New England, we've got all that pretty much. In the winter when there's a storm, we know how to hunker down.
Right.
But they're just saying, have supplies on hand in case there's an interrupt for 2 days to 2 weeks. It may happen, may not, but better to be prepared. So many of us have been preparing for a couple years,
Right.
and what we're being told is now is the time, because the bad guys are a little concerned about the tide turning, and they're priming for a big event, and the good guys are interrupting the event that the other ones are trying to host. So just hold tight, pray, bring the light, and just be safe, precaution. It's a big storm out there. You're going to hunker down, and you're going to have your supplies. And when the coast is clear, then we can go out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the one thing that I think that we maybe have talked about over the last couple of days is, because they're saying it's similar to like a 9/11 event, and you'll remember where you were. Well, we always associate 9/11 with all of this tragedy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that what is coming is going to be negative. It's going to be a positive shift. It may appear on the onset to be negative because it's going to be a huge change, and it's really going to shake people up, and in terms of like their belief system and how they live their normal daily lives, but it's actually a good thing. And so we don't always recognize change as a good thing.
Change is hard.
Yeah,
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be.
It can
yeah.
be.
It can
and
be.
yet yeah.
No, I mean, it's important and it's part of everyone's growth, but sometimes you have to get out of your comfort to manage whatever the change is. And so it's requiring getting out of one's comfort and also remembering through all of this to keep what you talked about at the beginning, to stay in a state of joy and keep the frequency up high, because the more that all of us hold that high frequency and that light, that is just, think of us as all individuals shining beacons of light that those who are looking for help and light can find the people where they can get the help.
There's the concept of, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was going to say, I just said that's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah.
And so we have to shine our light so that the people who are looking for us can find us. And yet Universal Energy and Samael both said you've also got to protect yourself.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Because the nefarious will, the shadow side will seek to put out the light. And that's, talk about delving down into...
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of important to know that this is like a spiritual war going on.
Yeah.
It's a galactic, universal spiritual war going on. Yeah, sure, we've got some political turmoil and et cetera. So we've kind of been in a virtual civil war in this country for a while. But this is above and beyond, as you guys know, that this is a spiritual thing going on. We're talking about, of epic movie-making proportion here of good versus evil. And that's kind of what the whole purpose of what we have been doing or trying to do, really having a little success, I think, is trying to shed the light and bring the light, as you guys have mentioned.
Yeah, and going to these Revolutionary War reenactments. I mean, I've been to all of one, but my husband's really into it. He's got his musket and his costume. He's out drilling today, and but it's fascinating how they had rules of war, and so there were rules they had to follow, and it's very, very. There was an honor, even in the battle. There was honor, and what we're dealing with in this World War III, that the average person is not even aware is happening. There is no honor to it. There's all subterfuge behind the scenes. It's an info war of mind control and disruption by way of disturbing people's thought processes and ripping apart families and friends. And it's the war is more of an emotional, spiritual, mental war than it is a physical war.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And deception as well is a big part of all of that.
And the physical part is what we have found with, the vaxes and the stuff that's in the weapon. The vaxes are a weapon. And I have good friends that have had the vax, and this is not a political statement or anything against positive or negative of people who had to make different choices. The reality in what we have seen, because we look at the auras in people, is the auras changed once the vaxes were introduced.
Yeah.
And we continue to see what all types of deception and evil devices. I mean, it's an evil potion.
Yeah.
And it's transmitting to others that aren't vaxxed. So who wants to talk more about what they've seen? Because you guys are the seers. I'm impressed. I tend to be more clairsentient, but you, all three of you, are very clairvoyant. You can see. So what have you seen when you look at somebody who has really? So say somebody who's really been vaxxed. What do you see in their aura?
Well, John, okay. I think we all pretty much see the same thing because it's quite universal. Normally when you see a person's aura and they may have, some other little things around them, but you basically get a sense of what their color is, what their clarity is, and how big their aura is or how tightly held to their body. But when we're seeing the auras of people who have either been shed on from the vax people or who have had to have the vax for whatever reason, it's a rusty, orangey, mottled color throughout the aura. It's very different. And then you can also see glitters of metal, sort of glitters throughout it as well. So that's what I see first when I see that. And I don't know what you want to add to that, Ann, or...
Yeah, so I have a tendency of a feeling more, and so I will feel the color, and so not only will I feel like a darker color or just a feeling that the aura is off, but I also feel like the holes that this metallic stuff that's in their aura has created, whether they be like the pinpricks, or bigger holes, and that's a huge challenge for a lot of the people that we're working with, because those holes in their energy field allow for other stuff, more nefarious stuff to get in and then create even more problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say, the energy level is what I get a sense of too. Everybody is depleted. The energy level of their aura is just not as brilliant as it normally would be, in my estimation. So yeah, that's very, very, very visible. Well, I don't really visualize it. I kind of visualize it in my imagination. I'm more of a feel for it, like Ann is. Yeah.
And just to step back a minute, the aura, it was actually Jesus that explained that the aura that many people are able to see outside of our body is truly who we are. That is our spiritual being. Our physical body is embodied within the spirit. I used to think that the spiritual was inside, in our heart or whatever. No, the aura is our eternal spiritual being.
Right.
And so what many people are doing is they're focused on the physical body symptoms when they've been sick with shedding or the vax symptoms. But there's that needs to happen. We've got to address all four levels because it attacks us on all four levels. But we're not hearing many people talk about how it's affecting our eternal spiritual body. Yep. So there's this orange, mucky, yucky, thick stuff, energy, which we then, after we started seeing this, then we learned about, graphene oxide. Think about that. There's the prions. There's this metallic stuff that's been injected. And that's what we're seeing, because Mother Gaia came through in one of our joint meetings and said, because the first thing we said, look how pretty. Her aura's glittering. There's all this glitter in it. Isn't that pretty? And she's like, no, kids. That does not belong in your bodies. It doesn't even belong in mine. Yeah. That's not natural. You need to keep your bodies as natural as possible. So we do these auric clearing exercises to clear the aura of the mucky, gunky stuff and the metallic stuff. And then we find other things, and we keep finding things that have been insidiously put in people that they're completely unaware. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that people, if they're not familiar with the aura, then one of the ways that I've tried to explain it to people, and it's something that is being taught in school. I don't know if it still is, but at least when I was going to school, and they would say your personal space. So if you drew a circle around you, then that's your personal space. And so if you look at it from that perspective, then, anybody that comes in contact with your personal space is now they're coming in contact with your energy, with your aura. And so, like, for instance, for those people that work in offices, if you are, you could be having the best day of your life and walking in, and then somebody is having like the complete opposite. You feel all of this happiness and this joy, but as soon as this person comes in and walks closer to you and kind of their energy now is blending in with your energy, now you're starting to feel that gunk. And it's like, well, now why is my mood shifting?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's exactly what's happening is you're picking up on this other person's stuff. And so it's a matter of discerning too what's your stuff and what's somebody else's, and being able to give that back to whoever with love and compassion.
Right.
Because you don't ever want to send it back with anger, because that's what you're going to end up getting back as well.
Right.
And you don't want to be afraid of being around people also,
Exactly.
because many people, Brian, you do hands-on physical therapy. When we're around people, we do. So what you're describing is also that emotional. We as empaths pick up on others' emotions, and in that unseen is what we're also picking up on, the shedding that's going on from the stuff that's in people's energy fields. And so we're in each other's energy, and we're picking up, and we're sharing energy, which what we have to do is realize it, and then go home, take our shungite soap back, do a foot soak or a cleanse, and okay, I'm good now.
But salt baths too.
Yeah. So there's a
All
lot of
sorts
different things to do. So it is not about, oh my God, I'm going to stay in my house and not go around other people. It's about being mindful. If you're going to go out and dig in the garden, you want to wash your, leave your shoes at the door, wash your hands before you cook a meal.
Yeah.
So it's just being more mindful. It is not a death sentence.
Right.
Unless you ignore it and don't do anything about it. And then you will end up, the potential is to end up very sick.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Brian, what do you do when you're working with all these? Because you do a lot of hands-on work, as you do as well, Anne, as a massage therapist.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, what I do is I keep myself wrapped in my little protective bubble all the time. We all have a spark within. And so you just take that inner spark, that's that little light that you'll find inside you, and you just expand it. Just bring, and just imagine yourself, that thing's like 3 feet around you. You can even say even 3 feet out on each side, and sort of like a 6-foot radius around you, and you just wrap yourself in this egg-shaped oval bubble, from the bottoms of your feet all the way up to above your head, and then that kind of gives you an idea that you're protected. And once you're protected, then everything can change a little bit. You can even interject a little energy into the person that you're working with. You can do all kinds of things, which is what I do. Always with love and light, is what I work with, and it's a very positive thing. And that's what I do to keep myself protected, because there's no way around me being within arm's reach or having my hands on somebody, working with somebody, and not being in contact with what they may be shedding. So that's what I do to keep myself protected.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I do something similar as well, Brian, because so when I'm setting my sacred space in the morning, I'm setting it around myself, around my home, around my vehicle, and then also where I'm going to be that day.
Right.
Because I do mobile massage for veterans as well. And so I'm going to be in multiple places and, in people's homes or whatever. But I also feel like when I'm working on people, it's like I'll start to get a hot flash if I know if their energy is being cleared or something is being released from them. And so my brain now is like right on it. It's like, nope, it's like this energy is not mine. Just like, let's take it out, or have Archangel Michael come in and take whatever it is out. Because I don't want to give it necessarily back to that person, because I want them to be clear and, have a better quality of life, so to speak, if they can, by having this energy gone, and we'll just let's get rid of it. So,
and you bring up a very, very good point. A lot of people that I know who consider themselves healers, and Archangel Raphael said, you are not healers, you facilitate healing.
Exactly.
The person must heal themselves.
Right.
But a lot of people they have this attitude of, I'll take it into me. And that is not the right answer. You must respect your own boundaries, because if you are weakened by it, then that is number one. Then how good are you to help others? But that's also an ego thing. The best thing is exactly if you recognize it, then you call on Ryan. Okay, I quote you all the time. What is it that you say?
There are millions of unemployed adults.
Absolutely.
We gotta give them a job, ask them to help, and they will. And then you take that energy. If you're sensing an energy in someone and it's coming at you, block it with love, wrap it in light, and ask the angels to take it to a place of healing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like people who do sage. They just walk around with sage and chase it away, and guess where it goes? To your buddy next door, or then it waits and comes back. So you've got to be specific about your asking the angels to take it to a place of healing, and they know more than we do.
Right. Yeah. It used to perplex me that people would come back and they would have the same kind of stuff around them. It's like, wait a minute, shouldn't that be gone by now? And then I realized that, if it's a free-flowing energy and it separates from them, then it's free to have that happen. But if it's within them, you have to get their permission to really work with it. And I find that that's very effective, but it's a little tricky to do. When you're speaking with somebody, oh, hey, by the way, you have this thing attached to you. Can we just take it away? You just can't really bring that up in open conversation.
What do you mean, Brian? I'm doing that regularly now. I just,
right.
I'm weird.
See, that opens up a whole different conversation with the client.
Sure it does.
I have to be careful, too, because, I'm afraid somebody's going to go back to their doctor and say, that guy you sent me to, woohoo, man, he is, woo, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Then I get a phone call from the doctor. What's going on? That kind of thing.
Right. Right.
But, let me just tell you, that doesn't happen very often, very, very often at all. But it's the same thing. You just have to kind of just know what your limitations are, and you work with it. But you have to ask.
Right.
Ask.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can also ask their higher self. We do that a lot.
Right.
Yeah, when we're doing remote things on people, we'll ask their higher self, and the higher self will respond with an affirmative, even if the conscious mind is not aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Or sometimes the higher self will say, "No, I'm not ready for that."
This is true.
We've had that a few times, not very often.
Yeah.
But there are times that the higher self comes back and says, "No, not now." Or
people have to be ready.
Right.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
And the only thing in that situation is to send them love.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because if they're not ready and you're not aware of that, and you do that clearing anyway, then the person doesn't know then what to do afterwards, and they end up calling that energy back.
Or something worse.
Or something worse.
Right.
And then it's
Correct.
that much more, like tenfold.
Right.
And so it's more disastrous to them. So, yeah, definitely.
That's what we've learned to work with clients. We used to do these remote sessions for clients, and now we work with the client, and they're observing, and they're a part of the energy clearing, which gives them that affirmation of the work we're doing, and it teaches them how to protect themselves. Because if we clear someone and they're not actively participating in their own clearing protection, then the door is open for something. Okay, nature will fill a vacuum.
Right.
If we remove something that's negative, something even more onerous can come in, because it's sort of the devil they're at least somewhat comfortable with.
Yep.
But if we pull something out and they're not consciously aware of filling that and protecting themselves, something else can come in.
Well, and also, just to add to that, the work that we've been doing recently is working with clients, as a team. And for me, what I just so appreciate in the privilege of this work and the honor of working with these light-bearing souls and star seeds or whatever all of their gifts are, is that when we're finding the various things that are either in their aura or are part of them that are from nefarious beings, it's confirming to them why their lives have been the way that they have, why they maybe have personality mood shifts, or why people suddenly seem to take a dislike to them, or whatever it is. And it's been so affirming for me as part of this to see the relief and the understanding, and they're then, what you were saying is them participating in their healing, because there is a healing process that needs to take place when this work is being done. And if the client is right there, they're witnessing everything, they're seeing or sensing or knowing or understanding what is being said or what's happening, and then you're helping to empower them to then take charge of their own healing journey, which is just such a wonderful piece together.
And isn't it amazing to see the transformation?
And
Oh
the
yeah,
transformation.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
really
like
is.
like Christine said, it's like I'm very honored to be able to do this work as well as part of a team. And then, but that sense of joy at the end of
Yeah,
every session,
absolutely.
because we've seen what they look like at the beginning, and then it's completely different at the end. Their aura is like completely
Yeah.
changed. Even their facial expression, they're like happy, and the smiles.
There's a
and,
glow that comes through so powerfully. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's really
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Makes it
as
all worthwhile.
go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say it makes it all worthwhile.
Yes.
it does. It does.
And we're doing this all via Zoom. So we do, Brian is oftentimes on the Zooms with us, and we live in different places, and that empowers the ability to have multiple people on at the same time.
Right.
And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I can't do that. You can't feel energy through Zoom." Hogwash and hooey.
Oh my gosh! Trust me,
Yeah.
you can definitely feel
You
energy
can
through
definitely
Zoom.
feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you're present. You're there with. I mean, if you are open to connecting with another, you can do. You don't have to have the Zoom. However, I'm insisting on it so that we can watch the effects
Right.
and some of the trauma. Some of these people have had incredible trauma,
Right.
and being able to watch what's happening, and then being the navigator, watch when you guys get attacked sometimes,
Right.
because
Right.
we're dealing with a church. We call them demons.
Right.
For years, I've just called them nasties
Yeah.
because they're nasty. They smell nasty. They're just nasty. But recently, again, back to these questions that we've been asking, we've been finding out more about these nasties,
Yeah.
and it is very insidious. It's truly been spiritual torture. The devices that they have been planting in people. And I just saw a thing from Klaus Schwab this morning. I posted on Telegram, and you guys can reach us on Telegram. We don't tend to post a lot of things on Facebook to keep, or even YouTube, to keep from getting, this might get us censored, but anyway, Telegram, Lois Herman Associates, we're all there. But he posted, or he was talking about, what will it be like when you have an implanted device in your head, and we're able to monitor all of your vitals, and we're able to communicate with you in your head.
Yeah.
What are we seeing in these clients?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly that. These
Exactly
devices that are monitoring
Yeah.
their vitals, and
Yeah.
they're planting things in their head.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So we've
Harvesting
been,
data, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
we've been seeing the ones that have been experimented on in preparation for what's to come, and they're putting it out as, "Oh, isn't this wonderful?"
Yeah.
But the ones that have been experimented upon, they've selected the brightest lights, the
Right.
Lightworkers, the star seeds, the ones that are here to make a difference, in order to squelch their light.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, right.
And to prevent them from connecting to source, because
It's
if they're disconnected, they're not going to remember what their purpose or mission is in life. But we found that in spite of all of these attempts and how much torture they've had, there are some fiercely determined light workers who are fighting back and have overcome so much. And it is awe-inspiring when you see the tenacity and the determination of these beautiful souls who are, I know I have a purpose, I know I have a mission, I am working to figure it out, and they're just continuing to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so rewarding to help remove the block,
Right.
so that they can achieve
Right.
their goal. It is-
Exactly.
and to watch them shine. It is.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and so Mary, who is also a very important member of our
yes.
team.
Yes,
So
exactly.
with her being, Reiki master for over 30 years,
Right.
it's like, she can definitely attest to as well being able to,
Right.
pick up on other people's energies from, wherever you are. And
Right.
it's, focusing that attention.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we're looking at as we're helping to heal, helping the people, these light workers, to heal themselves by removing some of the burdens and blocks that have been placed in them, and the ones that are monitoring. Because we've
Right.
encountered many who, somebody else deactivated an implant. Well, if they didn't remove whoever's monitoring,
Yeah.
then what happened to the implant? Let's put another one in.
Yeah.
So we are really doing a bit of a broader sweep as a team to
Yeah.
remove the nefarious ones who are monitoring, overseeing.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of healing that has to happen as a result. So Mary's offering to do the Reiki, the ECA Reiki afterwards, just to continue to bring your energy,
Right.
to heal your energy. Because like you said, Anne, the aura is Swiss cheesed. Many times there's pinpricks, there's
Right.
all kinds of weird disturbance in the auras, especially in these beautiful light workers.
Yep.
And off balance as well.
Yes.
They won't be the symmetrical aura around the physical body. They're off balance. It's
Yeah.
pushed out or pushed in.
Yeah. So we work in the unseen auric world, and that's what we're talking. I have to go in and claim the domain name for You Can't Make This Shit Up.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
That's our collective next book. Because every time we have one of these sessions, somebody makes that comment.
Yeah,
That's right.
we do.
Afterwards, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm surprised you're able to say that word on the radio, too.
Oh, George says much worse.
Censored. That's okay. It's all good. It's very descriptive. People know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is a free speech station.
Yes. Free
Well,
speech
heck, I didn't know
encouraged.
that. Yeah.
It is.
Hey, we're in New Hampshire. Live free or die. That's our motto.
For death, there is an evil worse than death,
Yeah.
and that's what we're clearing is
Yeah.
the evil that's worse than
Than
death.
death.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 John Stark. I'm a member of Molly Stark chapter. Yeah, I'm here. I'm a fan. Yeah. So yeah, you're exactly
That's
right.
great.
And live free or die. We must. We've got to regain our freedom from the political, from all different areas. And our
Right.
little team
Right.
is working on the unseen. That is the fourth dimensional
Right.
hijacking. That is very, very, very real.
And we are having help from that fourth dimension.
Oh, the fifth
a
dimension.
fifth dimension as well,
Yeah.
who are beings who are helping us as well.
Oh yes, please tell us about Meter. We only have 2 minutes left, but
Okay.
we can't finish this without our
without
other
Meter,
without
because
Meter.
he is such a part of our team. So Meter is a small gray who we basically encountered in one of the clearings, who was made to do what he was doing. He had been captured and was made to do this. So once we got rid of the upper level of who are taking charge over Meter and sent them to their justice of where they were going, Meter decided he wanted to help us. And over the months, we encountered him. March was the first time, I think.
Yeah.
And we have witnessed this little small gray just glowing with beautiful white light, fiercely determined to help humanity. And actually more than that, he's working with animals as well, with healing. He's all about bringing healing. And he is so proud to be part of our team. And just so we are honored to have him as part of our team
And
as well.
he stepped in and protected.
He did.
To protect Christine from a nasty reptilian.
Yeah.
And Archangel Michael gave him a
sword.
sword. He's so proud of his
And
sword.
he does.
Yes.
And we all have swords of discernment and love.
Yeah.
And thank you all for
Yeah,
being here.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have to do this again. This is so much fun. I love you all.
This is great.
Thank you, listeners. You can find us all at loisherman.com. Be sure to sign up for the Light program, where we will be meeting once a month to share with you. So until next time, look up, stay positive, and be the light in someone's day. God bless.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.